Hey guys, you're watching Tech Radar. I'm Basil. This is the Sony Xperia XZ1 Compact, a mini, mighty, almost flagship 4.6-inch screen, front-firing stereo speakers, Snapdragon 835 under the hood. It has a lot going for it, but it isn't quite perfect. I'll come to that in a sec, but let's start off with the design. You've got a USB-C at the bottom, which is great, future-proofing this nicely. It's got a pretty squat feel, kind of like a Tonka toy, but its chunkiness isn't too uncomfortable to use, given the fact it's not that big a phone. It's got front-firing speakers up and below the screen, and around the back you've got a 19-megapixel rear camera. This is the same flagship camera as found on the Sony Xperia XZ Premium. 960 frames per second slow-mo? Oh yeah, again, something that we'll come onto in a bit. Generally speaking, I love the design. It's also IP68 water and dust resistant too. It's perfect for anyone with smaller hands, and even me with my big hands, I found navigating it very, very comfortable. The fact you've also got a side-mounted fingerprint scanner means that you can unlock your phone securely with ease. The screen's a 4.6-inch 720p IPS panel. While it isn't the sharpest out there, it hasn't got AMOLED technology or HDR or anything like that. It does the job perfectly. Viewing angles are good, and most importantly, outdoor brightness is great, so you can see it really easily, even in direct sunlight. Dip into the settings, and there are also extensive customizations as well. As for what's inside, it's Android 8, the latest version, also known as Oreo, and it's super impressive that Sony's managed to get this in here. It's the only phone paired with its bigger brother, the XZ1, aside from Google's official Pixel series, that has this version of Android. Again, this thing may be mini, but it is mightily future-proofed. That translates to multiple home screens, access to all the applications in the Google Play Store, and of course Oreo brings with it a host of new features. Picture-in-picture mode, some sweet iconography as well that just looks great, and the latest security features too. Multimedia on here generally is really good. Front speakers, really nice and loud, louder than its predecessor, in fact louder than the XZ Premium. You've also got Snapdragon 835 under the hood with 4 GB of RAM, handle any game that you throw at it. In addition to that, high-res audio support too, and while there's no HDR, the screen is plenty good for a YouTube video or an occasional Netflix episode. Perhaps the area this phone is most hampered when it comes to multimedia is storage. Just 32 GB on here means games and applications that need to be installed on your internal memory will fill it up very quickly. That said, there is SD card support, so if you're more worried about photos and the 4K video this thing can shoot, you'll be fine. The camera combination on here is a first from Sony, a 19-megapixel rear camera. You've got an 8-megapixel wide-angle front camera, but let's start with the one on the back because it's a really special one. It's the same stacked image sensor found on the XZ Premium. It can record slow-mo video up to 960 frames per second, and as long as you get good lighting, it can make it look spectacular. When it comes to general photography and video, it's the same thing. You can get really great results as long as the lighting is good. When the lighting drops, it tends to perform worse than other camera phones that have optical image stabilization. That's one of the key differences here. As for the front camera, it records up to full HD video, but it's a wide-angle lens that takes center stage, 128 degrees at 8 megapixels. If you want to take a picture with a regular angle, it then crops into that image, downscales it to 3 megapixels, and then upscales it back to 8 megapixels. It's kind of strange, but the results actually aren't that bad at all. Competitive, but definitely not class leading. There's another cool feature that this camera can do, and it isn't really bound into the hardware, it's more the software. Both the XZ1 and XZ1 Compact can do it. It's the 3D creator. You can scan a friend or an object and it'll turn them into a 3D object that you can then 3D print or just throw into a whole bunch of applications. Make some fun GIFs and share them out with friends. At this stage, it's a bit of fun, but I'm looking forward to the day when integration ties into services like PS4. Connections are really good too. It hasn't got the fastest LTE around 800 megabits per second, but I'm pretty sure that's plenty fast for most people. Sony has dropped the FM radio, which some have grumped about, but you've got an FC, you've got Bluetooth, you've got Wi-Fi, all your standards are covered. And as for battery, it's a 2700 milliamp cell. That's the same size as is in the XZ1. And given the fact you've got a smaller screen, just 4.6 inches, it's better battery on the smaller one. It lasts a full day and then some, especially if you're a light to moderate user. And that means that the Sony Xperia XZ1 is an excellent smartphone in all but one area, and that's storage capacity. If you don't see that being a problem, then I can wholeheartedly recommend it. And if you do, you may want to look elsewhere, something with 64 gigs of storage like the OnePlus 5 or Honor 9. Hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you did, make sure you check out the full review by James at TechRadar and all our other videos as well. Thanks for watching.